Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome back to another episode of Cheeky Chip Chat. Paul, it has been a couple weeks since we chatted.
Yes, it
Of course,
has.
taking
Yes,
off
it has.
for Thanksgiving break, a little turkey, a little family time. How was your Thanksgiving week?
It was great, man. It was great. Played it safe. I think everyone's Thanksgiving was just a little bit different this year, but
Yeah, a
still
little
got
bit,
to
yeah.
see family, still got to, experience some great food. Yeah, it really has been a couple weeks here. The international break before that, so we missed all. Yeah, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holiday, heading into the holiday season. December 4th, right? December 3rd. That's what the date is today. I can't remember anymore, man. Um, yeah.
Days all
How
blend
was your
together now,
Thanksgiving? Yeah, seriously. How was
quarantine
your
and everything.
Thanksgiving?
Oh, my Thanksgiving was good. We actually we've discovered. First of all, my dad can't eat turkey for certain medical reasons, so we've discovered that really we don't really like turkey all that much. So we've started doing more beef based things, which is great. So we really enjoyed the main meats portion, and then everybody contributed. I made some crab dip. My sister, who lives very close by, brought some stuff, and yeah, it was a nice little thing. So we had a nice little time.
Excellent, man. Excellent. And we had some soccer this past weekend to get us excited back into the holiday spirit. I will say,
Yeah.
other than soccer, I binge watched all three Lord of the Rings over Thanksgiving break. So
Wow. That I mean, now did you watch the original cut, the director's cut? I mean like
extended, yeah, extended
oh man, that
editions.
now that is an undertaking cuz I mean they have a few extra hours of scenes in
Yeah,
there. I mean I think there's entire plot lines that don't exist in the originals, right?
it's about a 12-hour experience. Yeah, I really have to set aside half a day.
And it's got to be a little draining too cuz those movies are intense.
Yeah, yeah. You can use zone out there for a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but you come back at the important parts. I hadn't
Uh-huh.
seen them in a while, so it was good to watch them. And it always have been my brother and my Thanksgiving break tradition.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, that's
that's what
great.
I did.
That sounds
That
awesome.
was my break, man.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of kind of having your eyes malaise and just kind of losing interest, we have the London Derby to talk about in this week's edition of Deep Fried. As we have prepared for you with what we hoped would have been a mouth-watering fixture, a heavyweight boxing match, a clash of the Titans
Hmm.
between two of the highest point holding teams in the Premier League this season, a clash which had an even more interesting complexion given that Frank Lampard, of course, used to play for Jose Mourinho. He's one of Chelsea's top goal scorers under Roman Abramovich, if I heard that statistic correctly. And so I'm sure Mourinho holds Lampard dear in his heart because I'm sure he paved the way for him winning some of those titles while he was there.
He
But if
he is in fact Chelsea's top scorer of all time.
Oh, there you go, there you go.
There you go.
So again, I'm sure Mourinho is grateful for that, but no love lost with them standing on opposite touchlines. Of course, I'm painting the picture here for what seems like it would be one of the most intense, impressive, entertaining fixtures of this football season so far. It's typically what happens.
Yeah, dude, it wasn't even there's sometimes like entertaining draws. It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't say there was any part of me that was entertained by this. I mean, like I said, I feel like in sometimes when these games come up, we build it up. You see how I brought in all these different storylines and coloring the complexion, the undertones of the match. And then in actuality, what happens is either each team is aware of the magnitude of the consequences should they lose. And then they play so pragmatically that you get a snooze fest, which is what we got. Now, despite it being a snooze fest, I still think we should go through and call out a couple things here. Let's
Absolutely.
let's let's dive into the lineups here. So Of course, Chelsea setting up in a 4-3-3. Edouard Mendy starting in goal, as he has of late. He's been doing really well,
Yeah.
keeping tons of clean sheets, making sure Chelsea pick up lots and lots and lots of points because they're not conceding goals.
The days of Kepa are definitely behind us, Rahul. Definitely behind us. And I think he's going to be the mainstay. They brought him in over the summer, and he's been absolutely phenomenal for them. I think, don't quote me on this. I want to say they said 7 in the last 10 games were clean sheets for him before this game. Um, speaks to his pedigree. Speaks to his pedigree heading into this game, and we knew that he was going to have to save some goals in this game. I mean, Tottenham coming in top scorers in the league. That's another thing when you say, we're building up this game. Tottenham have been flying, and Chelsea have been there too. I think Chelsea were in third, maybe coming into this
I
game.
mean, Spurs, of course, coming off that victory against Manchester City, which we didn't get to cover because it would have been last week's show. But they, of course, Jose masterminded a brilliant display against Manchester City where they scored one goal that was kind of off of a set piece, if you can call it that, because the play started from a free kick. And then a substitute scored a goal a few minutes after coming on. If was it even a minute after coming on? I don't even think it was a minute after coming on
Yeah.
that he scored. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, Spurs beat City, so I mean they came into this with confidence and with like we said, a good position on the table.
Yeah, and that's why I think I was so shocked with the way the game went, because it really did seem like Jose Mourinho, for whatever reason, reverted back to kind of his old play style. The very, very, very pragmatic. Not a lot of. I mean, I think we have to give some credit to Chelsea, and we'll get back to the lineups here in a sec. But I think we have to give some credit to Chelsea because of how high flying Spurs were coming into this game. It makes me think that their defense was probably pretty solid. And I think that did kind of pan out through the game, with Thiago Silva back there, Kurt Zuma kind of holding it down. Um, I think we again see Conte actually playing in a role that maybe Conte is supposed to be playing in, because Reece James, Ben Chilwell, we know they're going to bomb up the sides. They did. Reece James was constantly up in the attacking third.
Which gave Bergwijn tons of space in behind when they were counterattacking.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that we have to give Chelsea's defense a little bit of credit in this case, because I think they cut out the inevitable counterattack that Spurs was going to play.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's totally fair. Now nothing else really surprised me a ton about Chelsea's lineup. Maybe Hakim Ziyech playing on the right wing is another example. One of those players I know he has played there for Ajax. I'm not going to claim to know better than a professional football manager, but I'm just going to say I think he's better centrally. So
No, I'll claim it.
I don't understand why you play him on the right hand side. I just don't understand this phenomenon.
More confusing to me is, why is Timo Werner playing on the left hand side when you have it's like, why is Aubameyang playing in the left hand side? Like, you have an out and out striker who does well getting in behind the line, and it's not even like Chelsea are like strapped for wingers.
I mean, something tells me he scored almost as many goals as Robert Lewandowski in the Bundesliga last season.
Yeah,
something like that. I mean, why is he starting in left wing? I mean, I apologize. How could I be so disrespectful? The other question I had about Chelsea's lineup was related to the Timo Werner question.
Right.
Why in God's name is Tammy Abraham in the starting lineup?
Again, that's why I'm so shocked that if if you're so dead set on playing Timo Werner from the left-hand side, then it may be a toss-up between Giroud and Tammy Abraham. I don't think so, but maybe other
Giroud
people
can
do.
Finish.
Yeah, and there were a lot of opportunities in this game that Giroud would have finished that goal. For sure. I think the one Reece James cross,
and then he turns around and faces it instead of just anticipating where it's going to fall over his shoulder.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Raul. It's a little confusing. I think I hold Tammy Abraham in a little bit more regard than you do, but not much. I definitely don't rate him. I definitely don't rate him as a starter for Chelsea for sure. Which, again, why isn't Werner up there, right? Why isn't Werner up there? I mean, come on. Is Eric Dyer and Rodon. This is his first game in the Premier League too. Are they going to stop Timo Werner? You know what I mean? Like, come on, come on.
So I always say, when you have good strikers who don't finish their chances in a match, it's not the manager's fault that you didn't score, right? Because the manager can't go on the pitch and be like, you got to score that, or can't go on the pitch and score himself, right? However, when you make a tactical decision like this one to start Timo Werner at left wing and play useless Tammy Abraham, and again, sure, he's a very nice guy, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to judge you as a professional footballer who gets paid a ton of money to play Premiership football. You are awful. So when that happens and you get picked in a starting lineup for a game like this against a team that you know is going to sit deep, I'm sorry, but some of the culpability does fall on Frank Lampard for that. So, I mean, that's all I'm going to say about the Chelsea lineup before, again, we move on to talk a little bit about the Spurs lineup, because that also is pretty much the same, other than the aforementioned Joe Rodon, as you mentioned. I believe that was his first Premier League start. So, obviously throwing him into the Wolves. But Frank Lampard...
But not the Wolves.
Not the Wolves. But Frank Lampard obviously deciding to give him an easy day with Tammy Abraham. So... anyway, it's the typical 4-2-3-1, and Dembele back in that center attacking mid role that he seems to be thriving in of late.
I really like that. That was my only comment on the Spurs lineup, and Dembele up in that like distributing attacking center mid role. He seems to be doing quite well, and I think he's become Jose's man real quick.
And I really like how he plays when he's under pressure. Like when he's got men on him, he's able to dribble his way out of it really well without losing it. And without getting too fancy, he does just enough to get out of it and then plays it past, which is just where you want to be. So I actually really like him.
Yep.
So you want to get into the game?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right. So again, I noticed one of the first things I noticed, Steven Bergwijn finding tons of space in behind. Because Chelsea, and again, I know I said that some teams get a little bit worried about conceding, losing these big games. You know, Chelsea, to their credit, I think, like you said, went for it more than Spurs did. I think they did. They threw more men forward. Spurs may have had more clinical chances, but I think Chelsea did more to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, you say Spurs had more clinical chances, and I do agree with you that I think Chelsea had more chances and more quality chances. They just did not clinically put them on target.
Yes.
You know, if
as
some
a
of them
result
are
of the
on
personnel,
target,
which we talked about.
Exactly. So I'm completely with you there. I think we took a little bit away from Frank just now, like 3 minutes ago. I want to give a little bit back to him. I think he played this one pretty well, considering the stature of the manager on the other side of the box.
That's fair.
Or in the other manager's box, right?
We all know how you love Jose Mourinho, so I'm not gonna push it too hard on that one.
Look, I just like him because I know it pisses you off.
Hey man, he's long gone now. Okay, we've all moved on, I think.
The only what's the word I'm looking for? Light at the end of the tunnel for a Spurs winning the championship is that I know that it'll just drive you crazy.
It'll make United, I think, the only team that he didn't win a title with in his second season, which will just absolutely rip my guts out, but it's fine. I'm begging for it not to happen. And they didn't help themselves in this game by only taking a single point away from it. I think Lampard, I mean, sometimes you like to play your pacey players on the wing, but when you're, like you said, when you're going up against a center back partnership like Eric Dyer, who's not naturally a center back, and Joe Rodon, who's in his first Premier League game, you feel like you'd play somebody with it's like he forgot that Timo Werner's a fast player, because you're also going to play a counterattack once Mourinho comes out of his shell, because you want to break back on him before he resets up, right? And so Timo Werner found tons of space. In fact, he scored, but he was offside. It was a brilliant goal. It would have been absolutely spectacular if he could have kept himself on side. But yeah, I mean, I just it really highlights that weird decision to put him out on that left hand side. And props to Serge Aurier, honestly, for putting in a shift defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I really like both Aurier and Regulon on those wings. I think they managed to hold down the fort as you would expect a Jose Mourinho team to do.
Which is interesting because we always used to, and you remember, and when we will very soon have the likes of Jaden and Jordan back on the show. They always used to rag on Serge Aurier and talk about, oh, why is Aurier playing? Why is Aurier starting? But it seems like in these kinds of games, he shows up.
I think going forward, he is less strong than maybe sitting back and having more of a defensive mind.
Which, in the case of Mourinho now in the big games, is what he needs.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is why I think, especially with Chelsea, to me, with Chelsea's midfield, you always kind of see almost like a rotating between Mount and Kovacic or whoever else is playing there. They kind of like to switch sides. Mount is a very versatile player who switches sides a lot. But in this specific game, you have Chilwell and Reece James bombing down the sidelines. You're going to need a wing to be able to defend that. And I think while Reece James got a lot of good crosses over, I didn't see Ben Chilwell as effective in the game because, like you mentioned, Serge Aurier was so dominant in a way.
Yeah. Now I want to talk a little bit about. I'm struggling to look at talking points because I don't have tons of notes here.
We honestly, I mean,
there wasn't a lot to talk about here. The game ended 0-0, so there's no big moments, right? There's no sending offs. There's no nothing. We've already talked about Tammy Abraham. I want to talk a little bit about Spurs counterattacking.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back to, and I know I said it's all in the past, but Baron, I'm not trying to demonstrate some kind of Jose Mourinho agenda here when I say this. I noticed not only against City, but also in this game, sometimes, many times, when they are on the counter, once they get like to the box, they play way too many cute passes and they end up just screwing up the move. Like when one player should be direct and have a shot, or one player should see a pass it, and then that player should have a shot. Instead, they're trying to do all these intricate flicks and things and all kinds of different things because I think that I think this is a theory I had while Jose was at United. I think he focuses too much on the defensive side of the ball, which means defensively they're rock solid. I mean, they didn't concede this game against a very talented Chelsea team, Tammy Abraham aside. But yes, I'm really ragging on him. I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, the lack of attacking organization and just like playing the simple pass moving forward, it seemed like they were freestyling a little bit, and it just got a little overcut. Like they were trying to be too cute. Like I know I've said these words before. I'm struggling to describe it. It's like they could have scored had they done less, but they tried to do too much, and then Chelsea got organized, and then the move fell away. Which is why I'm saying they created more clinical chances. Or you said Chelsea created more good quality chances. When I say clinical chances, I mean they had more shots. Chelsea didn't have a shot on goal between the 2nd and the 81st minute. That's what I mean by Spurs had more clinical chances, right? But I feel like Spurs would have had more quality chances as well had they just simplified their attack a little bit more, which you would think would be what you want to do when you're counterattacking because you don't have a lot of time.
I agree. And my only question is, and you're the XG expert here, are they trying to get goals? Are those layoffs, those specific like too cute passes in the box that are screwing them over in a way, right?
Yeah.
Are they trying to lay it off to someone to get a shot that has a higher chance of going in, because when you're on the counterattack and you're going to play counterattacking football,
Yeah.
you only have so many chances. That's my only thought.
And
It's my only thought. I do agree with you.
that's a fair point. It's a fair point. Now, excuse me. I will say that's a fair point, but would you rather take a shot on that has a little bit less probability of going in, which they probably have the analytics for all this stuff, and the players know, the attackers know, right? So would you rather take a shot on that has a lower probability of going in, or attempt a ridiculous pass that has a chance of not being completed to slightly increase your chance, slightly increase the potential XG of the shot that player can take? I mean, who knows? Maybe that's what they're being told to do. Maybe you're right, but I mean, in my opinion, I've seen it for 2 games now. I mean, Spurs could have scored more goals last week against Man City. They just didn't, because they were too cute on the counterattack, and it turned into a very boring game. Same thing here. They could have scored more goals on the counterattack. They just tried to be too cute, and they ended up with only, at least on Understat here, they only have 5 data points. That's awful. That is really awful.
Yep, 5 shots. Yep, 5 shots.
They have 5 shots. How many on target?
One on target.
But it was the good one.
Yes, it was.
It was a really good one. So maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Mendy did have to bring out a pretty good save.
Listen, man, maybe I'm wrong, because Chelsea had at least 2 shots on target.
3. Yep, they got 3.
Yeah, they had 3, so maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Spurs really didn't do anything right this game other than defend.
And it might have come down to they made poor decisions in the box when it comes down to it on the counterattacks, like you said. Hey, man.
I mean, at least when I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking like, they had some like really open chances, tons of open space in front of them. But I guess at the end of the day, it didn't really amount to anything. Tottenham's XG for the game ending up summing to a 0.23. Chelsea's summing to a 0.97. Obviously, we know who feels more hard done by here.
Yes. But a better point for Tottenham.
Definitely a better point for Tottenham.
But a better point for Tottenham, who sits top of the table right now with 21 points, right over Liverpool.
Absolutely insane.
The worst time in our footballing fan careers here, Rahul.
Paul, I'm going to speak to you directly here. I'm going to close my pen. Y'all better freaking win this week. Okay?
Oh, man,
I will not have it. I will not have you helping them build a lead at the top of the table. I will not have it.
I don't think we will either. If it's terrible, Arteta might be in trouble.
Yeah.
if they do to us what they did to you.
Oh.
Oof. Oof.
At
least it's not at the Emirates, but oof.
If they beat you like 8-2 or something.
Oof. Oh, wow, 2 goals. You're giving us 2 goals. Wow, it's so nice of you.
Well, how many did you score against Wolves?
1.
Was it a penalty?
It might have been. But they scored 4 today in the Europa League, so.
And Lacazette scored a banger, I saw.
No, it was not a penalty. Gabriel got it off. It was a good header by Gabriel. It was
off a corner, probably.
Good goal. Yeah.
Classic.
Let's not bring that game up. It was terrible.
But Lacazette's screamer against Rapid Vienna was dirty. Very nice.
Yes, they played a very good Europa League match up today.
I wish
obviously
I could say
Rapid Vienna. Yeah.
I wish I could say the same for us. I mean, let's just move straight into the European tour here.
You'll be there soon, buddy. Be there with us soon.
Everybody was talking, so we were like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, you guys will win the group." I'm like, "No, man, I don't know. We'll find a way to mess it up." Like, I mean, if we had just won this freaking game, I almost hit the mute button so that I could swear. But if we had just won this stupid game, right? We could have rested players against Leipzig so that we could be fresh against Man City in the derby. But no, instead, Man City get to rest players in their final Champions League game because they're already through. And we have to play our hearts out against Leipzig to try and win a group that we should have won this week. Because frankly, at the beginning, I think we honestly played very, very, very well until the red card.
Yeah.
And then after that, it all just kind of fell apart.
For everyone who doesn't know, and we'll start with this game, United lost to PSG in the Champions League, 3-1. Neymar putting on a absolute masterclass, and that pains me to say that.
I hate that.
Um,
I hate that so
uh,
much.
it really does pain me to say that because I really, my opinions on Neymar.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Marcus Rashford had a good goal, always classic score. But are you really upset about splitting in the group stages with PSG?
I'm not worried about splitting with PSG. I'm worried about the fact that we made it more difficult on ourselves than we needed to, and the fact that, and I told you this on Wednesday, and I told you it today. I sent two pictures, one in the 48th minute and one in the 56th minute, of a ball sitting pretty much near or on the penalty spot, with a clear path to goal for the ball, and Anthony Martial's foot wound up backwards, ready to hit it. And I said,
Yeah.
and I have been, I mean, I have Martial jerseys. Like I have been the biggest fan of this kid ever since Martin Tyler's. Oh,
Ever since he came from France.
yeah, exactly. Ever since he came from France, and the English press said he had no chance. I always gave the guy a chance as a young player coming in. He was what, 18 years old. And I said he was a young player. In 6 days, I think it's on the 7th or the 9th. I forget. It's either in 4 or 6 days. He is going to turn 25 years old. He has been playing at United for, did you check when the birthday is?
I thought you were asking about the game. I can look it up.
Okay. Um, he has been playing for United. This is his 6th season. His 6th season. I understand.
December 5th.
Okay, December 5th. Okay. So happy early birthday, Anthony Martial. Day after tomorrow, you turn 25, which means, guess what, bro? You don't get the young player excuse anymore. You got to start stepping up. And I understand you won player of the year, yes, last season. Congratulations. But we're now midway through this season. You have still not scored in the Premier League. Understandable. You got suspended because you didn't have discipline and you slapped a player in the face. As much as I don't think you should have been sent off, you still shouldn't have done that. So frankly, the reason you haven't played that many games is your fault. Yeah, I am going to go in on him a little bit because there have been several times in the Premier League season this season where he's started to lead the line and he's not been clinical. His movement hasn't created enough chances, and he obviously hasn't finished or created anything because he has no goals or assists in the Premier League. So I'm sitting here thinking you're supposed to be our number 9, and I watch you against PSG in one of our biggest games so far this season miss 2 absolute sitters. The second one, I told my dad, even you could have finished it. It was so easy. And I'm sitting here like, and this is what I told you today. If you are in your 6th season and you miss both of the chances that I'm talking about, I'm sorry, you're not fit to wear the shirt. Or at least you're not fit to start. So I think Ollie's really getting sick and tired of him. A lot of the fan base is turning on him after this past game, and I don't want to say that I'm like I'm not part of Martial FC anymore, but dude, you better step your game up because I'm off this he's a young player, give him a chance bandwagon come 2 days from now.
Birthday hat trick against West Ham. Birthday hat trick against West Ham.
Hey man, if he scores a birthday hat trick against West Ham, I'll sing his praises from the rooftops and say, yep, there's the Martial I know and love from last season. But it's what have you done for me lately in football? And about halfway through this season, not halfway, probably a third of the way through this season, I haven't seen anything.
So you're starting Cavani over him right now?
Yes,
is that what's going on?
100% I'm starting Cavani over him right now.
Cavani's been playing very
very well.
Very well. Yeah. So you want to just run through some of these other scores and we can talk about big picture stuff?
One more thing on the United PSG game.
Okay.
One more thing. Fred should have been sent off in the first half.
Okay.
That being said, if you can review a red card, which has the net effect of having a player removed from your team, that's the point of VAR being brought in to review key decisions, is to review decisions that impact, like that could potentially impact the outcome of the game. one of which would be losing a player. So if you can review a straight red card, can someone please explain to me why you can't review a second yellow card, which automatically converts to a red card? Because the net effect of those is exactly the same. I'm not saying review the first yellow card, but I'm saying I think that you should also be able to review a second yellow, because to be honest with you, Fred got the ball. So he was wrongfully, I mean, you could argue karmically that like he should have been sent off in the first half, so maybe this was just the universe working itself out. But in terms of this particular instance, I think it's a little absurd that you can't review a second yellow that becomes a red. Because the net effect is you lose a player, and that's a game-changing outcome.
So that aside, and I did not watch the game. I've watched the highlights, and I know what you're talking about with the Fred red card, but I didn't watch the rest of the game. So should Ollie have taken him out at the half?
100%. 100%.
They got 5 subs. 5 subs.
The blame for this game goes, firstly, for me, number one is Fred and Martial. Fred needs to not freaking put his head into people and get away with yellow cards instead of red cards. And Martial needs to put his chances away if you're going to wear the number 9 on your back. Otherwise, pick a different number. You can pick number 4 and be Phil Jones if you want. But the rest of it is all on Solskjaer. Like, you would think as a super sub that he'd make more subs. And with 5 substitutes and him complaining about how much he can't use the squad because of how close the fixtures are together, with 5 subs available in the Champions League, by the time Fred got sent off in the 60-something minute, he had made 0 subs. Very dumb.
Crazy.
Yep.
That is the perfect segue, because there's another manager who's been complaining about
Fixture
congestion and possibly having 5 subs, but only made 2 subs this week in the Champions League, so that's kind of ironic. Liverpool beat Ajax 1-0. The kind of the shocker of the entire, I would say. Probably the shocker of the entire one.
Is it a shocker?
No, Shakhtar versus Real?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it a shocker? Zidane got hit on the head by Wax Tap. Get it? Because he's bald. Wax Tap, Anyway, for those of you who don't know, the Cyrillic alphabet letters for Shakhtar spell, if you read them like English letters, it reads Wax Tap. And, he's bald, so you whack. Anyway, it's fine. I'm sorry. That was a horrible joke. I was really looking forward to that one. I was like, Shakhtar!
Oh, Shakhtar.
Really
it just says Shakhtar in the Cyrillic alphabet.
Cyrillic alphabet's all it says.
As someone who can read the Cyrillic alphabet,
I'm telling you, if you read it in the English, like it's the English alphabet, that says Wax Tap. I'm telling
Wax
you.
Tap.
Yep.
You got a point.
There you go.
So they won. Shakhtar beat Real Madrid 2-0. Real Madrid very likely going down to the Europa League in the first time in their history.
That is insane.
I will tell you exactly where they are right now. Shakhtar has 7 points, and Real Madrid also has 7 points. But on goal differential, Shakhtar is currently beating Real Madrid. Right now, that entire group stands Mönchengladbach, which we'll get to in a second, because they lost to Inter Milan. They lost 3-2, but they had a very good showing. Shakhtar, Real, and Inter's at the bottom, probably going down to the Europa League, but that's not new for Inter. Very new for Real Madrid. Crazy. So, like I mentioned,
is that what you would have picked in that group?
No. Inter at the bottom? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I did not know Darmian plays for them too. They are literally just Manchester United's team from a season ago. Yeah.
Ashley Young, Darmian, Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez. Like, good Lord.
Seriously. And then they, of course, Eriksen. But he might be going to... have you heard this? He might be going to Arsenal.
No way.
It's on the table. That's all I'm saying. All right. RB Salzburg beats Lokomotiv Moscow 3-1. Like I mentioned, Inter beats Mönchengladbach 3-2. Lukaku does score in this. Marseille beating Olympiacos 2-1. This one's not a shocker, but it does end their winning streak. 15 games winning streak is ended by Atletico Madrid drawing by, and you would think they would lost, right?
I
But
know.
no,
I
they're
was gonna
still
say
undefeated in like whatever so many
Yeah, I
games.
was gonna say finally the winning streak comes to an end, but they still haven't lost. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Bayern draw Atletico 1-1. Atalanta drawing Midland, whatever
Michelin,
they're
yeah.
called.
The team
1-1
that
as well.
Rashford scored against when he made his debut. Shout out. BT Dubs.
A little shocking from Atalanta. They've kind of had a pretty good showing in the Champions League.
Of late, yes.
Porto and Man City drawing 0-0. Pep was not very happy.
You
about
saw
it.
that, right? That was hilarious when Pep was like, "Oh, I don't like the way they play," and then the Porto manager was like, "Oh, he was mad. Yeah, I would be too if I had that budget and I still couldn't win." I was like, "Oh my god."
RB Leipzig keeping themselves alive, Rahul, beating Istanbul 4-3. Istanbul, man, they on a bad day, if PSG don't show up to this game, it can get interesting for sure. It can get interesting for sure. Krasnodar beat Rennes 1-0. We already talked PSG, Manchester United. This one's an interesting one. Dortmund drawing with Lazio 1-1, but Dortmund does get their round of 16 berth, so it doesn't really matter there.
Okay.
Barcelona destroying
I had Lazio winning that group, which is
Ferencvaros. I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Good game. Messi was resting though. Was rested.
But Griezmann scored a nice goal.
Griezmann scored and Braithwaite scored a second goal in 2 games, I think, for Barcelona right now. Juventus, this was actually one I watched a little bit of, and then I watched the highlights as well. Juventus beating Kiev, Dynamo Kiev 3-0. Club Bruges beating Zenit 3-0, and then this is my favorite game of the week. Chelsea beating Sevilla 4-0. Olivier Giroud scoring all 4 goals. Let's go, Ollie. Let's go.
I saw that. Yeah, let's go, Ollie. Sorry, wrong side.
Wrong Ollie.
No, but I saw that he had scored a hat trick, and then I was like, "Holy crap! He scored 4 goals." I thought that meant he had scored 4 hat tricks, but no, he'd scored 4, like not 4 hat tricks in the game, but 4 like Champions League hat tricks. He had just scored 4 Champions League hat tricks. I was like, "Oh, congrats, bro!" I didn't realize that he had just scored his 4th one, and he had scored 4 goals in that game, which is insane.
Yep, and I think I saw somewhere that he is the oldest player to score a hat trick in the Champions League.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah.
That is impressive.
He's 34.
Impressive.
34. All right. I think it's just because he's older than Ronaldo is what's going on, right? What's what we got there.
Probably.
That's it. That's the Champions League, man.
Can we just talk about something for a second?
Yeah, man. Let's talk.
Everybody talked, including me, by the way, talked about how Edison Cavani was so old. Right? Let me look up how old he is right now. He is 33, turned 33 in February. So in a couple months he'll be 34, right? How old? You said Olivier Giroud is 34?
Yep, 34.
Okay, so he's only a year older than Cavani, right? How old is Robert Lewandowski?
He's 32, I want to say.
Is he going on 33?
He might be.
I'm just saying, we don't realize how old some
32.
of... He's 32?
Yep.
When's his birthday?
August, so just turned 30.
Okay. So, we don't realize how old some of these players have gotten, just because they've been in our hearts and minds for so long. And I feel like again, I'm guilty of this too sometimes. Like especially when I play games like Football Manager and FIFA and things like that. I'm like, oh, you're an old player? Nope, I have no use or want for you because too old, no stamina, declining, injury prone, blah blah blah, whatever. And I always used to rag on managers like Jose Mourinho who'd always just exclusively opt for experience and build a team of exclusively older players. And you're right. I still will rag on him for that because I think there's important to be a balance. But the importance of experience in a lineup should not be understated. And we should also take a second to recognize how old And when I say old, they're not like old. It's just like, quote old
Right.
for a professional footballer by today's standards, how old some of these players actually are, and begin to appreciate that not only they're still doing it at that age, but you can still do it at that age if you're disciplined about your health and your fitness and training and things, and making sure you manage your body and your exertion and things like that. You can still be efficient and effective, and play at a very high level even when you're pushing 35.
Well, I think, and this is something I believe we've talked about on the show before, we are transitioning from an old mentality because of the technology available to us as humans to just be at your peak longer,
Yeah,
right? So back in 2010, a 32, 33,
you're
34
done.
year old player would have been old,
Yeah.
right? And of course, you have your exceptions. But because the technology and just the way people
And
take
even
care of
just
their bodies,
knowledge about like
exactly.
nutrition and things like that, like, yeah, you're right. Like, you're able to keep yourself in peak condition for much longer, and that's what's enabling. I mean, even I think Ronaldo's 34, is he not?
Ronaldo's 34. Here is even crazier. Do you know who's top of Serie A right now?
AC Milan. Zlatan's 38, isn't he?
Zlatan is the top scorer in Serie A this season so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
38 years old.
He's 38 years old. Yeah. So this is what I'm
Now
talking
that's
about. Like,
Zlatan. Now that's Zlatan, you
it
know?
is, and we all know he's a lion and all that, and I get it. But like, let's just believe me, I love Zlatan. I love me some Zlatan. But like, let's not just write off play. And this is a message to myself and to everybody. Let's just not just write off players just because we see a 3 in front of their age, right? That's all I'm saying.
Mesut Ozil, Arsenal.
Well, he's too busy playing Fortnite, so I mean that's his that's his problem.
What else is he supposed to do?
All right, man. You want to wrap it up with the last bit of this?
Yeah, let's bring it down just a little, the mood down a little bit here, but we
Yeah, we
have to mention that the soccer world lost a godlike figure to many this past week. I think it was the day before Thanksgiving, the 23rd, maybe.
may have been, yeah.
Um, but Diego Maradona, of course, passed away at 60 years old from a heart attack last week. And just, from the hand of God to just, all the antics on and off the field to him just being just an incredible player for club and country. The soccer world has lost a I can't even a colossus this past weekend. Just wanted to give him a shout out. Obviously, I was not old enough to watch him play club soccer, so I can only go by what people tell me. But you know, Argentina is had a 3-day mourning period, and I think that just the entire country, and I think that just shows how much he meant to the soccer world. And then all the leagues did a 1 minute round of applause before kickoff this past weekend. Maradona, thanks for everything you've given soccer. Thanks for everything that, you provided us, and hope you rest well. Yeah.
Well done, Paul. Yeah, the soccer world did lose a living legend. He's one of the greatest to ever play the game. To some, he is the greatest to ever play the game. As you said, somebody who was not alive to watch him, I cannot be the judge or compare or anything like that. Like Pele's come out and said, I don't think we should be comparing. Let's just admire. And I think when people pass on, we learn to really respect and appreciate what they've done for the game. And so I spent like a lot of time over the last week, like, looking at different videos, learning about him, like what did he do, where did he play, like all kinds of stuff. And I remember when I first heard about Maradona, I was I didn't start watching football that long ago, like some people. I started watching relatively late in my life, but during the 2010 World Cup, he was the manager of Argentina, and I was like, oh, who's that? And my dad told me about the Hand of God goal and about the quarterfinal against England. So I went and looked it up, and I saw him punch the ball in the goal. I was like, bro, that's cheating. And then, like, at that point in time, like, I'm just like what hell? I don't even know how old I was at that time, but I was just some snot nosed like teenager who was like, oh, it's cheating. You can't do that. He's such a horrible man, horrible guy. Blah, Maradona's bad. Blah. But the more I've gotten to look at him, his life. I saw the interview he did with Gary Lineker where he talked about it, and he said, no, it wasn't cheating. That's just how we play in South America. That's just what we do. And I realized it's a cultural thing. Like that's not him trying to be a bad person. That's all he knows is do anything that you need to get the ball in the back of the net. And if the referees call it, the referees call it. So ultimately, it's the referee's fault. If any English fans hate Maradona now, you gotta hate the referee, not the man. Because I mean, at the end of the day, the ref's got to call that goal off. I mean, because it's clear handball. I mean, he even admitted it. But I mean, the sad part about the hand of God goal, and I've told you this, I've told tons of other people this, is it takes away from the goal that happened a few minutes after that in that game. I don't know if you've seen the highlights of that game, which is called they call it the goal of the century, where he receives the ball at midfield and dribbles through right attacking midfield and through the right wing into the box, and probably skins about 6 or 7 defenders in the process and jumps over all of them and finishes in the back of the net. One of the greatest goals I've ever had the pleasure of watching. And you see him in that goal just in touch with the ball. He's one with the ball. He knows what it's doing. You see him in warm-ups. He feels the ball. It's just like, I've never seen a player, even with Messi and Ronaldo, the way they play, I've just never seen a player who just seems to have so much innate love for football itself and just so much love for the game. You see when he's out there supporting the games with his kids, you see how passionate he is. You know, he is kind of a little bit of a crazy, you know, he was a little bit of a, he had some crazy moments, you know, but that's just the kind of character he was. And, you know, it made him a likable guy. And it was really nice to get to learn about him these last few days. And I'm sad I didn't know more about him while he was alive. And the last thing I'll talk about is, like, if in case anybody hasn't seen it, go watch Gary Lineker's thing that he did on the BBC about when he and Maradona played together on the same team as part of like a rest of the world team in an exhibition match against some domestic side. And he said he was playing with all kinds of like all different legends that were there. And all of them were fixated on Maradona because he had this presence. And then he was just juggling the ball in the dressing room, and then he walked out to the center circle and he kicked the ball up as high as he could, and it came right back down to him. And he did that about 12 times, and he never moved more than about 3 steps. If you know how hard that is to do,
yeah,
and keep it under control. And apparently, all these legends of the game that he's talking about tried to do it themselves, and none of them got more than 3. And you just see just how much time, affection this man spent, you know, giving himself to the game. It's truly remarkable. So, yep, definitely say the soccer world lost a legend, and rest in peace, Diego Maradona. And as Pele said, I hope that one day you both will play soccer together in the sky.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Maradona. What a legend.
That is going to do it for today's show, I think, Paul. Would you like to give a shout out to our social media before we end today's show?
Yeah, follow us at Cheeky Chip Chat on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, check out cheekychipchat.com. I don't know if it's scrolling past me right now, but it's usually right down there.
Yeah,
might pop up
it'll
somewhere.
come back down there.
It'll come back up. But yeah, follow us at Cheeky Chip Chat on on Twitter and Instagram. Just Cheeky Chip Chat on Facebook. CheekyChipChat.com. Follow me at Cheeky Paul on Twitter. Follow Rahul at the Rahuligan on Twitter.
There you go. Our social media is popping up now, so you can go ahead and follow those guys.
There you go. Right down there. There you go.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul, and thank you all so much for joining us. As always, our intro music was provided by Purple Planet Music. You can check them out at purple-planet.com. And as always, we hope that you chips will keep it cheeky.
Real quick, if you liked this video, give us a like, dude.
Don't forget to leave a like.
Yeah. And hit subscribe.
Yeah.
Why not?
Hit subscribe. Add it to favorites. Share it with your friends.
Hit the bell so it announces every time we're
Ding
live.
dong that notification bell so you get a notification every time we go live. It's typically on Thursday nights, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Well done, Paul. Well remembered.
I got you, man. I got you.
Thank you. Well, until next time, we hope that you chips will keep it cheeky until we chat. Next time. Take care, everybody.